Friedman. Get in line.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Mr. Mark Friedman. How are you? Hello, Mr. Let me, first of all, good afternoon. Thanks for being here. And here is my daughter, Juliana.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Can you hear me? You have to turn on your microphone.
Back. Let me see.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Is that working?
It's working.
You know what? I'm just going to take those off and go back to this.
Okay. Hello, Alejandra. Okay, Mark, let me introduce you to my daughter.
Now I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Mark. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you? What's your name?
Juliana.
Okay, I gotta get this on. Okay, now I can see people.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. So, how you been? Let's wait a couple of minutes while the
Sure.
participants get into the forum. So, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a busy day. I've been showing apartments all day. That's the Sunday is the day for everybody to go out and look at apartments in New York City.
Okay,
So,
busy, and you look like there was a lot of sun today.
do I look? No sun. It's actually pouring rain today.
Pouring rain?
pouring today. Driving throughout the city in the rain.
Okay. Okay. Hello, Alejandra. How are you in Washington?
Hey, Ernesto. Hi, Juliana. Hi, Mark. How are you?
Hi, hello.
Hi, Mark. How are you? How is going on?
Nice to see you, or sort of.
I can't put my camera right now because I am moving into the bus. I have a little mistake, but well, I'm fine.
Everything work out?
Yeah, I am out because I was in my new apartment and I have to go to my friend's house because I don't have a bed. I have to go to bed there.
Oh God.
So I am moving there. Yeah.
Okay, it'll work out.
Okay. Here's another one. Here is Emmanuel and Andrea, I think. I don't know how many are going to be coming because Sunday is a little difficult for them. It's a difficult day, I guess, everywhere, not only in New York City.
Sundays are tough sometimes.
Yes, Sundays are a little tough, no? But the thing is, Mark, that we cannot do it other day. All my students, they work, they study, they have their occupations, no? So other day it will be impossible, no? It will
Sure.
be, no? Definitely it has to be on a Sunday because elsewise on a Saturday, Friday, Monday, it would be very difficult.
Listen, if there's anybody who wants to listen to me talk, I'm happy to talk. My wife is tired of all these stories, so I'm happy to tell somebody new.
Okay, very nice.
Great.
Hey, Emmanuel, how are you?
Hi Ernesto, hi everyone. How are you?
Good, how are you?
So here is Mark. Okay, so first of all, why don't we tell Mark who we are, who you are, while all the others come, and then Mark can start talking about all his beautiful stories, okay? So why don't you start, Alejandra, please?
Ernesto, can start Manuel if I am a little lost in this bus.
Hello.
Alejandra, are you on a bus, you said?
Yeah, I am in a bus.
You're
Okay. Well, make sure you're going in the right direction.
Hi, hi Anna, how are you? Well,
Sorry. The story is that I tried to take the station, the metro station, but it's closed because maintenance. And so they put me in another bus, and I am trying to going to the other station. So sorry for that. I
No
want to be the
worries.
last. Okay, thank you.
No worries. We'll move on to somebody else.
yes. Emmanuel, why don't you tell Mark something about yourself, very short, because Mark has a lot of stories for us. So,
Uh, I'm not to say, I don't have to say nothing special. uh, I'm electronic engineer. I study currently with Ernesto English. I work at Gale, a company that uh, produce equipment for the food industries.
Very good.
And I am electronic engineer, and I very interesting for uh, hear about you and your life, your work.
Okay.
okay, thank you. Okay, Juliana, your turn. Tell Mark who you
Okay.
are.
Okay, so hi, Mark. Nice to meet you. I'm Ernesto's oldest daughter. I'm 26 years old. I just graduated from university. I'm an language teacher, but currently I'm working at a company that is called Cox. Maybe you have heard about it. It's pretty nice because I'm learning how to handle some customers. So it's very interesting. Sometimes, I don't know, people are kind of crazy. Sometimes they call me and I don't know what to say because they are telling me,
Sure.
hey, I need, for example, someone to turn on the TV and it is actually not plugged into the outlet. So, oh my God. So, yeah, it's very funny, but I'm learning how to deal with that. And I'm very happy to be here. And I'm very glad that you can tell us new stories and funny ones in order to have a good time.
Okay.
Thank
Very
you.
hard to deal with customers,
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
but a very good learning experience.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, Anna, how are you?
I think
Anna,
she's still on a bus.
Hi, how are you?
hi, Anna.
Hi, how are you? How is everybody today?
Fine, thank you. So please,
Okay, my name is Ana. I'm from Bogota, Colombia. I have two kids, and right now I'm working in a company which is called Credit Core Capital, and I'm the private director, and I have to deal with a lot of customers all the time. Very to hear about your speech.
okay, okay, thank you, Anna. Okay, so while the others come, let's start, Mark. So please,
Sure.
the forum is yours.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start in the beginning. After I met Ernesto in high school at Cushing Academy in upstate Massachusetts, I moved on to Ithaca College in upstate New York, where I studied theater for 4 years and had a great time up there in the snow. It was a lot of snow. And immediately moved to New York City to become George Clooney. That didn't happen though. So I, do you know who George Clooney is?
Yes, we know.
Okay. So I moved to New York right after college, and I moved into a very small studio in Greenwich Village, and I got my first job. I auditioned to play King Kong at the Empire State Building. And I went to the audition thinking that it was going to be in a little room somewhere, in the building. And I got to the Empire State Building, and there was all this commotion in the lobby. I don't know if you've ever been to the Empire State Building, but it's a very, very long lobby. And the whole thing was roped off, and there were news people and cameras. And at the very end of it was a big table, and the head of Helmsley Spears was sitting at the table, and a very famous boxer at the time named Jerry Cooney. He was the heavyweight champion of the world, and he was about 6'9". And I know you can't tell from Zoom, but I'm about 6'5". So I'm a big guy, and I don't really look up to many people, but I looked up to this guy because he could knock your head off. So I go into the lobby, and I said, "What's going on here?" And they said, "Well, you have to put a number on your chest, and we're gonna give you the head of King Kong, and you're gonna go into the middle of the lobby, and these people, Jerry Cooney and the head of Helmsley Spears, they're gonna judge you and decide who's gonna win to be King Kong for the summer." Now, I was very eager to do this because it was $25 an hour in 1986. I said, "This is a fantastic job." So I put the number on my chest, and I went into the middle of this lobby, and I put the head of King Kong on, and you could barely see out of the holes. It was like this big. And all these people, all the tourists were out around, and I can barely see, and I see a woman holding a baby. So I walked over, and I was pretending to be King Kong, and I tickled the baby's chin, like a nice, like a warm, King Kong. And there was an announcer on a microphone in this big lobby, and he was saying, "Oh, that's very funny." And then, so I finished my part, and I said, "Oh God, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm doing this." And they said, "We're going to call 3 people back, and the 3 people these are the finalists, and we're going to continue who's going to win this, job." And they called my number. So I said, "Okay, I'm going to do this again." I figured I was a nice ape in the beginning. Now I put on the thing, and I'm going to be a mean ape. So I pounded, and I pretended to be, a really mean King Kong. And the announcer was sort of annoying with the microphone. And I went up to the table where Jerry Cooney, the heavyweight champion of the world, and all these people were, and I started to pound the table with my fists. And I couldn't see anything. And I hit the table, and I felt something under my hand, and I broke a pair of glasses that were on the table. And the announcer said, "Oh, I don't know if you should have done that. Those were Jerry Cooney's sunglasses." And he said, "He's even bigger than you are." And I didn't know what to do. I felt terrible, but I in the moment, I grabbed the microphone from the announcer, and I threw it down on the ground, and I pounded my chest, and I ran off, and I won. So my first job, I'm thinking I'm going to be King Kong for the summer on the Empire State Building. So we go up in the elevator to the very top. They're going to take pictures with all the newspapers, the New York Post and the New York Times and the Daily News. And they give me the costume, and the costume doesn't fit. They didn't expect to have a 6'5" King Kong, I guess. So the PR person said, "Well, we need to take pictures with this King Kong. Whoever's going to win, we're going to give it to the runner-up because you can't fit into the costume." And I said, "Wait a second. I won the job. I need the $25 an hour." So the woman said, "We'll give you a job, but it just won't be King Kong." I said, "Okay." So I spent the summer running the elevators up and down 86 floors, nice and air conditioned, in the lobby, and talk to people. And around July, it was one of the hottest summers in New York City. And around July, I'm in the elevator, I go up to the top and I see the kid who is now playing King Kong, and he's sweating profusely, just sweating. And I said, "Oh, is it great to be King Kong?" He says, "No, all the kids are kicking me and they're poking at me and I'm hot in this costume. It's the worst job I've ever had." So that was my first job, running the elevators at the Empire State Building. So I went on from there, and I continued to act, and I became a bouncer at nightclubs. So I would did that during the day or at night, and I would take classes and act during the day. And I became pretty good at doing commercials and television commercials. And around 1992, the Screen Actors Guild, which is the union that all the actors in America belong to, was on strike. So I had to get a job, and I found a job in the health club, and I became a personal trainer for a couple of years. And I went from being a personal trainer into sales, became a salesperson for all these health clubs. And I did that for about 10 years while doing a lot of different commercials and acting. I went out to Los Angeles for a little while and was on a couple of television shows out there. LA Law, which was a big show back in the 90s. A lot of you don't know about these shows because you're too young. Ernesto, you might remember that show.
I remember.
Yeah. And it was fantastic. Before that, I was doing summer stock, and I was getting paid $700, I think it's $700 a week. Maybe not even, maybe it was $350 a week to do summer stock. And I went out to Los Angeles to do LA Law, and they were giving me $750 a day, which was quite nice. And then I started doing voiceovers. And a voiceover, if you're not familiar, it's all the commercials that you see on television, and it's the voice that goes over all the pictures. So I did a lot of voiceovers, and I worked for Halls, Cough Drops, and American Express, and Sprite. All you name, whatever major brand you can name, I've probably done a voiceover for them either on television or in radio. And then about, I think it was 2005, I was working for the health club, and I had gone from a salesperson, and I was an area director, and I was running a lot of clubs in Atlanta and Boston. I became area director of about 10 or 15 clubs within New York, Atlanta, and Boston. And I was doing a lot of traveling, and my kids were very young, and I really didn't want to travel and miss, the kids growing up. So I went back to New York, and I basically quit. And I said, I can't do this anymore. And they gave me a lot of money to stay in the health club on the Upper West Side, which is where I live. So I stayed there for a little while, but I couldn't take it anymore after 10 years, and I went into real estate. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15, 16 years. And that's been a very good move. But if you had asked me, when I started out and moved to New York to become an actor, that I was going to be a real estate broker, never in a million years. I was never good at math, and that's all I do now. I never wanted to be in business. I just wanted to act, but now I'm a businessman. So you never know what's going to happen, as you start your life. And I'm sure, Ernesto, you say this to your kids, and I tell this to mine. I have twin 20-year-old daughters. And I was having the conversation last night with one of them who is thinking about becoming a lawyer. And she had a little meltdown yesterday. And she said, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm studying, she's just started studying the LSATs. She's like, I don't know if I want to be a lawyer. I said, you don't, this is the time. This 20 years old, you could be anything you want, right? So you never know what is going to happen. I've known many people who've gone back to school to get their law degree, and a lot of people in real estate, this is their second or even third career. My business partner, who I've had for 10 years now, he had his own company on Wall Street. It was a software company. He sold it and retired at 45. And when he retired, he realized that nobody else was retired at that age. So he decided to get back into the business and came into real estate. And we've been partners for about 10 years now. So I've had a lot of crazy deals in real estate. We deal with a lot of estates. I deal with a lot of celebrities and actors because that's where I come from and that's who I know. I've also done a lot of charity work with the American Cancer Society. And I got involved with the Rainforest Foundation years ago, which is run by Sting, the musician, and his wife, Trudy Styler. And through that, which is another crazy story of how I got this apartment, but Sting was selling his apartment 6,600 square feet. And I'm sorry, I don't know what that is in meters. I don't know if it's quite large. It was twice the size of the house that I grew up in. And I had a big house. And he was selling it with a very famous broker at the time. And her name was Linda Stein. But she had a terrible reputation in the business, horrible. But she got all these musicians. She worked with Billy Joel and Sting and Bruce Springsteen and all these people because her husband was in the music industry. But she was very mean to people. And I can't believe I'm going to tell you this story, but it was in the newspaper. And she was so mean to her assistant. She would yell at her and talk to her, and she would smoke a joint and blow it in her face. Okay. Until the assistant got so mad that she took a yoga bar and hit her in the head and killed her.
Wow.
Are you all listening to what I'm saying?
Yes, we are.
She took a yoga bar.
But I don't understand how you kill somebody with a yoga bar.
Well, it's not the soft one. It's like a hard, was soft on the outside, but it's like a bar on the inside. And she
Okay.
took the thing and hit her upside the head and killed her. Now, I had already known Sting for a while, and he knew that I was a broker, but I was a very young broker. I had been a broker for maybe 2 years, right? She was a big broker. She did a lot of deals. So in 2008, when Obama was getting inaugurated, Sting invited me down with him and a bunch of other actors to go to the inauguration. she had already been dead for like 6 months. And I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to seem like I was eager to take over this listing from a dead woman. But I was walking to Obama's inauguration with Sting, and Trudy, his wife, turned to me and said, out of the blue, you can have it. And I said, I didn't even know what she was talking about. I said, what do you mean I can have it? You have a pair of gloves? Because it was about 20 degrees out. She said, no, you can, we're going to give you the listing to sell. This is an $18 million listing. So I said, well, that's great. Thank you. And I was so nervous. I prepared this whole packet this thick of information about the market and trends and how we should price it and how we should market it and all of this stuff. And I left it in Sting's office. And I came back about a week later, and I was really excited to see what his response was going to be. And I looked at the desk. Nobody even opened the packet. Still untouched. So he was having lunch or something in the other room, and I said, you know, Sting, I just want you to tell me if you liked what I gave you. You know, you feel like it's the right price, or, but I see that you didn't open the packet. And he said, well, I don't really care. He said, I'll sing and you sell. You don't tell me how to sing and I won't tell you how to sell. And I said, okay. And I ended up selling the property for $18 million. So that's my Sting story.
It was only one property?
It was only one property.
Yes, for one.
Yeah. It was Central Park West and 68th Street.
Mhm.
It overlooked the park, and it was a duplex, 2 floors. Beautiful, beautiful apartment. 5 bedrooms, 6 baths. And, but then there's the other side of real estate in New York. And are you familiar with the word hoarder?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay, a hoarder is when somebody doesn't want to throw anything out.
Okay.
They keep everything. So we were hired once to sell this property on the Upper West Side, and the woman was older and she was going into a home, and her power of attorney was hired to clean it up and sell the apartment for her. And we walked into the property, and this is a nice co-op, beautiful, the building is gorgeous, and the apartment had about 3 feet of just stuff from wall to wall. You could barely walk anywhere. There were just paths in between all the newspapers and furniture and everything. And one of the things that unfortunately, a lot of estates are like this. When people pass away, they hold on to everything they've had for 80 years. And we had to clean it out and hire people to take the whole thing out. And it's the other side of, you know, the real estate. We see this on a lot of television shows where people are selling million dollar homes, but it's quite something to see. So what else can I tell you?
Mark,
What's
and
going on?
do you want to go again to be an actor or to be in this world? Maybe do you want to do it, or you are trying to do it?
Well, I'm still doing it. And there's a show called Law and Order, SVU. Do you guys have that?
SVU? No.
Law and Order.
Order,
It's
yes,
a,
we have it.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I was just last week I was just on that show playing an attorney. So I still act and I still do commercials and I do real estate at the same time.
Okay. That's good.
Sorry, I have a trouble because I am into sorry, I am into the metro, so I lost the answer. Sorry, can you repeat,
Oh.
please? Sorry.
I said in last week I was just on television in a show called Law and Order, and I have a semi-recurring character, and I play an attorney. Unfortunately, my attorney, the character that I play, defends rapists.
Okay.
So I have to play a very mean person on television.
Okay.
Mark, I have a question. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Anna.
Mark, I don't know if I listened well, but I think you said you worked with a cancer foundation.
Yes.
What was your experience with that? What did you do there?
So in New York, public schools need a lot of help. So very early on, I joined sort of the fundraising efforts for the public schools in our neighborhood. And a lot of times the restaurants get involved by donating a dinner for two or a dinner for four or something like that so that they can auction them off and raise money for public schools. So I was very involved in that. And I did that for quite some time. And I got to know a lot of chefs. I got to know a lot of restaurateurs. So when the kids got a little bit older and they were out of school, unfortunately, my wife had gotten cancer and she's fine and she survived. But because of that, I decided I wanted to do something to fight cancer. And I decided that I would take a lot of these restaurants and all the people that I knew in New York over the years, actors and all these restaurants, and start an event called Taste of Hope, where we started with about 10 restaurants, and the restaurants would have tables in a space, and every restaurant would have a little appetizer, a little tasting of what they liked, and people would walk around and have a little taste, and we would get together and have a drink, and I'd invite some famous actors, and people would spend some money to be there, and all the restaurants came for free. Well, that was 15 years ago, and the last time we did it, we had 90 restaurants from across New York. In Brooklyn, we had a restaurant that comes up now from New Orleans and participates in the event. And we've raised about $3 to $4 million over the last 15 years to fight cancer and for cancer research. And one of the things that the American Cancer Society is a place called the Hope Lodge, where if you're suffering from cancer and you want to come to New York to get treated, or any city, there's Hope Lodges all throughout America in big cities. And if you need to get treatment, you can stay in the Hope Lodge for free. And they will feed you, and they will give you basically a hotel room, but it has a kitchen, and the family members can stay there. it's really an amazing place. And a lot of the money goes to support the Hope Lodge. So that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. Of course, last year, because of COVID, nobody wanted to come out, and we couldn't gather like we have in the past. We used to gather, we had 1,000 or 1,200 people come out, and because of COVID, we couldn't do that. So we did a virtual event. And of course, in the virtual event, I had to call out the big guns to support the event because we didn't have any food to give to anybody. So of course I called Sting, and he graciously did a live event with us and sang a couple of songs. And we had about, I don't know, 1,500 people tune in and raised money for that, for the same event for that. So that's what I do.
Okay. Okay, Anna?
Yes. Perfect.
Do you have any?
So what else can I tell you?
Excuse me, Ernesto?
Do you have any other question about the cancer events that Mark used to do or he does during the last 15 years?
No, it's just that I wanted to ask about it because you know about my family, and my mom's going through a treatment for breast cancer. So I had like curiosity, and that's all. Yeah, thanks for the answer.
I'm sorry to hear mom's going through it, and I wish her
But she's
well.
fine. She's doing fine.
Good.
She's been in treatment since 2019, but she's fine. Thank you.
Excellent. It's a very difficult thing to go through, and you know, unfortunately, we lost my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law to cancer, which is one of the other reasons why I'm so involved in that. So it's way too many people have it, and it's not stopping anytime soon. It's continuing to grow, which we don't know if it's from the food sources or how things are being made, but it's definitely going on. And we have a lot of people from all over the world who come into New York to get treatment and stay at the Hope Lodge. We've had people from Colombia, we've had people from Middle East, all over the world, because that's, you know, the New York hospitals, Memorial Sloan Kettering, one of the, you know, most well-known hospitals in the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Nice.
Okay, students and Mark, this session is going to be over in a couple of minutes, so why don't we go to the next session, and there we can make some questions if you want to Mark, and he'll be glad to answer them. Okay, so let's go to the other session, please. Okay.
Okay.
Mark. We do the other side.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.